Today on Musical Minutes, we're going to take a look at the most passionate guitar, the flamenco, and I'll pay tribute to the man who made mine. Welcome, I'm Hans Manship, your host.
The flamenco guitar is closely related to the classical guitar, but built lighter, quicker, and more percussive. It uses nylon strings and is designed for the rhythmic, expressive demands of the flamenco. With a thinner top and lighter interior bracing, it produces a faster response and percussive attack. The body is slightly smaller and lighter than a classical. There are tap plates to protect the soundboard top from added rhythmic tapping. Nylon strings are used, but often with a brighter, snappier setup than classical. Traditional flamenco guitars fall into two main categories. First, flamenco blanca, used to accompany dance and vocals. And secondly, flamenco negra, for solo play. Some playing is rapid with explosive strumming, and some combine downstrokes, upstrokes, and plucked notes. Each style has its own rhythm and mood, defining the sound. Flamenco guitar is not just an instrument, it's a voice within a larger cultural expression involving singing, dance, and guitar. It expresses joy, sorrow, struggle, and celebration. Flamenco guitars are loud. They're to be heard over the dancers, hand claps, and singers. Historically, flamenco emerged in the 18th century Andalusia, Spain, shaped by their folk music, gypsy Romani traditions, and Jewish melodies. The Baroque guitar had dominated Spain. Flamenco music was primarily vocal. By the mid-1800s, the six-string guitar had become standard, but was used primarily for rhythmic support, eventually becoming a solo instrument. In the 1920s, flamenco guitarists began taking short solos, and the flamenco blanca emerged. By the 1960s, Sabicas had globalized flamenco guitar with his unprecedented playing. The latter half of the 20th century expanded the instrument, and 30 years later, concert flamenco guitar had become a global art form. In today's modern era, hybrid techniques fused with jazz, classical, and world music have made the flamenco negra common for solo play. Now that we've gotten a picture of the flamenco guitar, I'd like to take a moment to pay tribute to the man who made my flamenco guitar. While in high school, I learned of George Wilson, who was new to the area. I heard he made guitars and lutes. I had to meet him. When I stepped into his small home workshop, it was crowded with the scent of spruce shavings, hide glue, and the quiet intensity of a man who understood excellence. I had met a fiercely dedicated craftsman and instrument builder, with a level of artistry that most people in the region had never seen. It was 1966, and my younger man was about to wander into a future I didn't yet know I was choosing. George wasn't famous then. He was simply good, amazingly good, and I recognized it. He built a flamenco guitar for me, and he expanded my world. As he built, I watched him work. I swept the floor, fetched tools, and learned the rhythm of a luthier's day. I saw how a guitar begins long before the first note, and the way a craftsman listens to wood. George didn't lecture, he demonstrated. I stood close enough to see the small decisions that separate a merely good instrument from an extraordinary one. He later put me in touch with the Smithsonian Institute and access to their warehouses. I was told 90% of their artifacts weren't on public display, but in storage buildings where history lived, the quiet, reverent spaces where America kept its heritage. I found myself in the quiet back rooms of America's greatest museum, studying instruments that the public never sees: early lutes, rare guitars, prototypes, forgotten treasures. For a young craftsman, this was a revelation. My life as a luthier was beginning. But George had a new path to follow. He soon moved to colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, where he served 39 years as their master instrument maker. He became one of their most respected artisans, constructing violins, lutes, guitars, and spinets. He built flamenco guitars for Sabicas and Carlos Montoya, the most renowned players in the world. Years later, I visited George, still in colonial Williamsburg. I thanked him again for my guitar and the doorways he opened, for his generosity, for the way he treated my curiosity as something worth cultivating. But his real gift was everything that followed me for the next 50 years in the world of musical instruments.
The flamenco guitar, created to express passion in music. Thanks for joining me, and may God richly bless you as you pursue his creation of music and the instruments mankind has created for enjoyment.